Hello, it's me again. Okay, so the date is the 26th, no, the 23rd of August, 2026. So it's a Sunday. It's about 7:45 in the morning approximately. And this story is about my grandmother and my grandfather. Okay, when I was born, my grandmother was beside my mother. This is my grandmother on my father's side. They came to Canada around the same time my father and mother came. They all came around the same time together. So we were all born in Canada, all the kids. And so she was there and she told my mother that this child would be gifted. He would start to see things that are not there, hear voices, be able to predict the future, uh, all kinds of other things that he will be able to do. And the most important thing with this child is to make sure that he prays morning, day, and night. And I lived with my grandmother for a while till I was about, I think, 7 or 8 years old, maybe nine at the most. And then we moved to a farm, and they moved to a farm, and we never lived far apart, maybe a kilometer or two apart. And when we were living in the city, we were right beside each other. So my grandmother has been there through my whole life, really. And she protected me from bad spirits and evil demons and stuff like that when I was very young, which I didn't know about. All I ever got was the good spirits and good ghosts because she scared the other ones away, which I didn't know she did either till she told me later on in life. But anyway, the story goes on, and my grandmother passes away. And I also committed myself because I thought this was a curse and I could never live a normal life because every time I touch someone, I see their futures, but I also see what they want. And then I see what they fear and things like that. So it's not 100%. Like, I see their real future. I see what they want their future to be. So it's a little difficult, but still, I kind of know what's going to happen, especially when I'm dating girls and stuff like that. And I know what they're going to do. And so I do the best that I can. Half the time, I don't believe myself that these things are going to happen. But anyway, I get out of the psych ward. My grandmother has passed away, and the angels, two angels, come while I was in the psych ward and tell me that they want me to work on the living. Forget about the ghosts. You got to help the living. The living is your most priority. And so I also tell the angels, I said, angels, like, you guys are great and everything, but also I'm going to need wealth in order to travel around to do what you want me to do. The angel says, don't worry about that. That's coming. So I said, okay. So all the ghosts I've ever talked to, I've never known their names. I've never known who even really what they were. I got an idea of their ages. I got an idea of what they did in life. I got an idea of how they want to go into this light and go on with their lives as a child and as growing up. But at that time, I never knew what their names were. But now, with my grandmother passing away, she came to me. And I knew it was her. I knew her name. I knew her history. She knew my history. And she goes, I want you to help Grandpa because Grandpa is now alone. Uh, he lives with one of my uncles and aunts and their kids in the farm not too far away. But, you know, she wants me to bring him around to visit relatives and stuff like that. I said, Grandma, it's a little bit difficult right now because I don't have a lot of money. And she goes, here's some numbers for the lottery. Play it. I win. I go, wow. Okay. All right. All right. This is good. This is good. So now I can go get grandpa. I'll take him around to the relatives. Now, grandpa, the first 2 or 3 times or 2 or 3 weeks or whatever, he's like, you know what? This is boring. What do you do for a living? Now, I'm going to have to explain to you this thing about my grandmother and my grandfather. My grandmother was about 3.5 feet. My grandfather was almost 7 feet. So there was a size difference, like ridiculous. And I'd make jokes with them, having fun because I like to be a little comical. How do you guys have seven children with this size differential? My grandmother would go, "Oh my God, you don't understand. We're all the same size laying down." I go, "Okay, I got it." But anyway, jokes like that. But the idea is like I'm only 5'7", 5'8", and my grandfather's almost 7 foot. Now I'm going to hang out with him at the relatives is fine, but he wants to know what I do for fun and excitement, not what he wants to do for fun and excitement. Now at this time, I think all he wants to do is visit relatives and stuff like that, and he said it's boring. So I said, okay, no problem. He's a healthy man. That's what I know. So I take him to a dance parlor. My cousin owns a dance parlor, which is his grandson as well. And I can't talk about him because he said he doesn't want to be mentioned in any of these videos. But anyway, so we go in there and I start buying drinks. And I buy drinks for everybody. And then my cousin goes that owns the place goes, "No, you're not going to do that. We're going to it's grandpa. He doesn't have to pay." I said, "Okay, he doesn't have to pay, but I want to buy drinks for the girls, so we have a little bit of entertainment." He goes, "Okay, that's fine." So all the girls come around and they get to meet grandpa from our family, and they're all excited about it. I find out that Grandpa is a very excitable person. He would ask the girls to sit down, and then he'd put his hand down before they sat down. I'm like, oh shit, Grandpa likes to have fun. And I said, okay. Now, the spirit world is different. I can block them from seeing what I'm doing in the live world, and I can also not tell them the truth. I don't know what anybody knows about ghosts, but they also lie as well. So I'm going to lie to my grandmother and tell her that I'm bringing him just to family members. And Grandpa also wants to know what Grandma is saying because Grandpa believes in me and he knows I can talk to ghosts and stuff like that. And I go, "Grandpa, I'm not going to tell Grandma that we're coming to the strip joints." He goes, "No, don't do that. She'll get very upset." I go, "Yeah, I figure she'll get very upset. And I'm not going to tell grandma that you're here with me now doing this." He goes, "Yeah, she'll get really mad." So we did this for a while. Now you got to remember, grandpa and grandma had seven children, four boys and three girls. One was in Italy, she passed away, but the rest of his children were in Canada, in London, Ontario. And I didn't know this, but grandfather had a pacemaker in his heart when he went to Italy one time. And I'm like, oh shit, he could pass away any time. I can't take him to the dance parlors. Plus, all my aunts and uncles started giving me shit. They started saying, "No, you can't bring him to a dance parlor. Like, he could have a heart attack." And so I was permitted. I was not allowed to take my grandfather with me anywhere because of his heart condition. But he had a really good time, and he said, "No, my heart's fine. My heart's fine." And I said, "Oh, what am I going to do?" But then, if you have all these, right? Like I have like a lot of cousins. They're like, "Yeah, but my mom and dad says don't bring them to the dance parlors." So I didn't bring them anymore. In fact, I couldn't even hang out with them anymore. A few years pass, approximately two or three, and then Grandpa passes away. He lived till he was 94. I thought that was pretty good. But his pacemaker gave out on it. The battery died. So at least I wasn't blamed for that. And it was a year or two later. And Grandma, after Grandpa passed away, they're in the spirit world together. And Grandpa tells Grandma that I took him to the dance parlors. Now, Grandma's furious with me in the spirit world, and she's upset. And she tells my grandmother not to give me any more lottery numbers because he spends it like crazy. I kind of did. Like, I really spent money, but still, I didn't want to get shit from grandma. And then I talked to grandpa, and he goes, "Well, we're in the spirit world. I didn't think it would hurt to tell her the truth." I go, "Yeah, did you think might hurt me?" He goes, "Yeah, but you got big shoulders." I go, "Thanks, grandpa." And then grandma was still mad at me. Oh, she's not mad anymore, But she was mad at me for a good few years. And that's my story about my grandmother and my grandfather. Birdie signing out.